There is a rhythm to everything. You feel it in your heartbeat. You see it in the rising and setting of the sun. You witness it in the way seasons flow into each other. And yet, in the rush of modern life, people often forget this rhythm. They push themselves endlessly as if life were a straight road with no curves, no pauses, no returns. But life is not a straight road. It is a circle, a cycle, a dance. And when you learn to move with it, you stop fighting against the current and start flowing with it. That is when strength becomes sustainable, progress becomes natural, and meaning returns to your daily steps. Think about the simplest cycle: breathing, inhale, exhale, expansion, contraction. Life itself depends on this rhythm, yet how many of us stop to notice it? If you held your breath forever, you would suffocate. If you only exhaled without inhaling, you would collapse. Growth without rest or rest without growth will always break you down. The same is true for your goals, your dreams, your relationships, your energy. To live fully is not about constant acceleration, but about knowing when to push and when to recover, when to create and when to reflect, when to act and when to let go. The ancients understood this truth without needing science or technology. Farmers knew that soil must rest after harvest, for even the earth cannot give endlessly without being renewed. Sailors read the tides, aware that no wave rises forever. It must fall and rise again. Even the stars move in cycles, galaxies spinning in majestic spirals, and within them planets orbiting, moons revolving, light pulsing. Everything alive moves in rhythm, from the turning of your cells to the spinning of the cosmos. To forget. This is to lose touch not only with nature but with yourself. But here is the inspiring truth. The rhythm is still within you. You may feel tired, lost, or overwhelmed, but your heart still beats to that timeless pattern. And you can return to it at any moment. You can learn to trust that periods of struggle are not permanent, that winters are always followed by springs, that endings carry the seed of new beginnings. Once you see your life as part of a cycle, you stop fearing the lows and start using them as preparation for the highs. You stop demanding perfection in every moment and start honoring the process as it unfolds. Consider your own journey. Have you ever felt unstoppable, driven, clear, full of energy, only to later hit a wall of fatigue, doubt, or confusion? That is not failure. That is rhythm. The human spirit is not a machine that can run endlessly. It is more like a drum. It produces its power when struck at the right time, in the right sequence, in the right beat. You cannot rush it or hold it. You can only join it. And this is the forgotten knowledge that can transform your life. The power of rhythm, the wisdom of cycles. When you embrace this truth, motivation stops being a fleeting burst and becomes a renewable force. You realize you don't need to burn out to succeed. You need to pace yourself. You don't need to win every day. You need to stay aligned with the larger flow. Imagine a runner who sprints without breathing, ignoring the rhythm of the body. They will collapse quickly. But the runner who breathes with their stride, who honors the natural balance of effort and recovery, can go far, much farther than sheer force could carry them. Life is the same. And what does this mean for you? Sitting here now, perhaps carrying doubts about your future, your work, your relationships, your purpose. It means that no matter where you are in your cycle, it is not permanent. If you feel stuck in darkness, remember that darkness is simply the other side of light. If you feel exhausted, it is only the exhale preparing you for the inhale. If you feel lost, trust that every cycle carries a return, a turning point, a renewal. The cosmos does not move in straight lines. It moves in spirals. And so does your life. This understanding is more than comfort. It is power. Because when you know that cycles govern existence, you stop resisting them. You stop clinging desperately to the highs, afraid they will fade, and you stop drowning in the lows, afraid they will last forever. Instead, you ride the wave. You learn that the downbeats are as essential as the upbeats, that the silence between notes makes the music, that rest is as sacred as action. And suddenly, your motivation is no longer about forcing yourself to grind endlessly. It becomes about timing, balance, and trust in the greater rhythm. Look back at history, and you will see this pattern everywhere. Civilizations rise, flourish, and fall, only to give birth to new civilizations. Ideas are born, spread, decline, and return in new forms. Even human innovation comes in cycles of exploration and consolidation, expansion and reflection, and just as nations and cultures follow cycles, so do individuals. Your own life is a series of seasons: childhood, youth, adulthood, maturity, and, within each stage, smaller cycles of growth, struggle, learning, and renewal. To deny this is to fight against the very structure of reality. To embrace it is to find freedom. Now you might ask, how does this help me with my dreams, my goals, my challenges today? It helps because once you recognize the cycle, you no longer expect permanent highs. You stop judging yourself harshly for feeling tired or uninspired. Instead, you ask, what part of the rhythm am I in right now? Am I in the planting phase, where effort feels heavy but necessary? Am I in the growth phase, where energy flows and results appear? Am I in the harvest, reaping the reward, or am I in the resting season, gathering strength for what comes next? Each phase has its value. Planting teaches patience and discipline. Growth teaches resilience and adaptability. Harvest teaches gratitude and celebration. Rest teaches humility and trust. Without one, the others lose meaning. Without night, day would not be precious. Without loss, gain would not be sweet. Without silence, music would not exist. The cycle is not your enemy, it is your teacher. So let this be your reminder. Stop measuring your life as if progress were a straight staircase. It is a spiral. You may pass through similar challenges again and again, but each time you are higher, wiser, stronger. Do not despise repetition. It is how mastery is built. Do not fear setbacks. They are simply the rhythm pulling you back to prepare for the next rise. Every inhale requires an exhale. Every wave requires a return. Every step forward requires grounding. And here is where motivation transforms. Instead of chasing endless speed, you begin to master your rhythm. You learn to push when it is time to push and to rest when it is time to rest. You trust the process, not because it is easy, but because it is real. You begin to see your challenges not as walls, but as turning points. And you discover that by aligning with the cosmic rhythm, you become unstoppable. Not because you never fall, but because you always rise again. Remember, the universe has been moving in cycles for billions of years. Stars are born, they burn, they collapse, and from their ashes, new stars rise. Galaxies spin, planets orbit, life emerges, dies, and renews. You are part of that same dance. The rhythm is not outside you, it is within you. And the more you align with it, the more energy, clarity, and strength you will feel. So breathe, trust, move with the rhythm. And know this, wherever you are right now is not the end of the story. It is only one beat in the song, one season in the cycle, one step in the spiral, and the music is still playing. If rhythm is the forgotten knowledge, then remembering it is the beginning of freedom. Most people live trapped in linear thinking. They imagine their life as a ladder, a straight climb upward with no pauses, no turns, no cycles. They judge themselves harshly when they stumble or when they don't see constant progress. But a ladder is fragile. You can fall from it with one misstep. A cycle, however, is resilient. It carries you forward, even when you feel you are repeating old struggles. When you understand this, you stop fearing repetition and begin to see it as the rhythm of mastery. Think of how a musician learns. They do not play a song once and then move on. They repeat it again and again until the rhythm is not just in their fingers but in their body, their breath, their soul. At first, the repetition feels frustrating. Mistakes echo louder than progress. But over time, the cycle of practice transforms into fluency. The same is true for your life. Whatever you seek, strength, wisdom, love, success, it will not come in a straight line. It will come in cycles of learning, failing, adjusting, and rising again. And every return to the challenge is not wasted effort. It is another turn of the spiral, another layer of depth. This is why you must never confuse a low point with the end. Too many people quit when they are simply in the winter of their cycle. They forget that winter is not death but preparation. Trees shed their leaves not because they are dying, but because they are conserving strength. Fields lie fallow not because they are barren, but because they are restoring fertility. Even the human body renews itself in cycles. Muscles grow not during exercise, but during rest. Wounds heal not instantly, but through stages. You cannot rush a cycle, you can only trust it, and trust is the key to motivation that lasts. Because what drains people is not the difficulty itself, but the belief that difficulty will last forever. When you are in pain and you think it is endless, despair takes over. But when you realize that pain itself is part of the cycle, that it is temporary and transformative, you gain patience. You learn to endure not with gritted teeth, but with calm strength, knowing that renewal is already on its way. Consider how many times you have felt lost, only to look back later and realize those lost moments were guiding you to growth. The breakup that shattered your heart made space for deeper love. The job you lost pushed you toward a path you would not have chosen otherwise. The failure that humiliated you became the foundation of your resilience. At the time, it felt like the end. In truth, it was the turn of the cycle. You were in the exhale, but the inhale was coming. You were in the dark night, but dawn was near. This is why cycles are the secret to unshakable hope. Hope is not blind optimism that ignores struggle. Hope is the wisdom that all struggle is part of the rhythm. Hope is knowing that no season lasts forever. And once you truly believe this, motivation becomes natural. You stop giving up in the middle of winter because you trust that spring is inevitable. You stop resenting the fall because you know it prepares the soil for growth. You stop fearing endings because you see that every ending is secretly a beginning. But let us be honest, remembering this is not always easy. Modern life has trained us to ignore rhythm. Artificial light blinds us to the natural cycles of day and night. Technology pushes us to move faster than our bodies and minds can sustain. Society celebrates endless productivity, as if rest were weakness instead of wisdom. We scroll endlessly, consume endlessly, chase endlessly, forgetting that true power lies in balance. And so people burn out. They collapse not because they are weak, but because they are living against the rhythm. To live with rhythm is an act of courage. It means daring to rest when the world demands constant output. It means daring to trust the process when progress is invisible. It means daring to let go when your hands are desperate to cling. And it means daring to rise again when you feel like staying down. Rhythm demands humility, because it reminds you that you are not separate from the cosmos, but part of its eternal dance. But it also gives you immense strength, because it means you are never truly lost. Imagine a surfer. They do not fight the waves, they study them, align with them, and ride them. They fall, yes, but they rise again, because the rhythm of the ocean is stronger than their fear. You too are meant to ride the waves of your life, not resist them. You are not meant to stand rigidly against the tide, but to move with it. And the more you align with the rhythm, the more effortless your strength becomes. Motivation stops being a battle and starts being a flow. This is why the most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who understand failure as rhythm. They know that setbacks are not signs to quit, but signals to adjust. They see rejection not as a wall, but as redirection. They use silence to prepare for speech, rest to prepare for work, stillness to prepare for movement. They are not endlessly sprinting. They are moving with balance, conserving energy when needed, unleashing it when the moment is right. Like great athletes, artists, leaders, or thinkers, they understand timing, and timing is simply rhythm mastered. So let me ask you, where are you in your rhythm right now? Are you in a season of planting, working hard, seeing little result, but laying foundations? Are you in a season of growth, ideas flourishing, progress visible, energy flowing? Are you in a season of harvest? Reaping rewards, celebrating effort, enjoying the fruits of your labor? Or are you in a season of rest, forced to slow down, reflect, recharge, so you can rise again? Wherever you are, honor it. Do not curse the winter, for it prepares you for spring. Do not cling to the summer, for the harvest must come. Do not fear the fall, for it clears the way for new beginnings. And above all, do not rush the rhythm. Everything unfolds in its own time. A flower cannot be forced to bloom before its season. Neither can you. This does not mean you sit passively waiting for life to happen. Rhythm is not about surrendering your power. It is about using your power wisely. It is about knowing when to push and when to pause. It is about recognizing the moment to act with intensity and the moment to step back and trust. It is about dancing with life instead of dragging it. And the more you practice this, the more aligned you become with your true potential. There is something profoundly motivating about this truth, because it means you do not need to have everything figured out today. You do not need to be perfect or endlessly productive or constantly happy. You only need to honor the rhythm you are in. If it is time to plant, plant with faith. If it is time to grow, grow with courage. If it is time to harvest, harvest with gratitude. If it is time to rest, rest with trust. Each phase is sacred. Each has its purpose, and each leads to the next. Think of the greatest symphonies. They are not made of endless noise, but of highs and lows, crescendos and silences. The pauses are what make the music beautiful. Your life is no different. The pauses are not empty, they are part of the song. When you accept this, you stop resenting the quiet moments, the slow seasons, the stillness. Instead, you see them as the breath between notes, the silence that makes the melody shine. And here is the most liberating part. You are never truly starting over. Every cycle carries forward what the last has given. The lessons remain, the strength remains, the wisdom remains. Even when you fall, you rise with more knowledge than before. Even when you repeat a struggle, you face it with deeper resilience. This is the spiral of growth. You may feel like you are circling back, but in truth, you are rising higher each time. So the next time you feel tired, lost, or defeated, remember this. You are not broken. You are between beats. You are not failing. You are in transition. You are not done. You are in rhythm. Trust it. Honor it. Move with it. Because life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be aligned. And when you are aligned, motivation stops being a fleeting spark and becomes a steady flame, fueled by the very cycles of the universe. And in that flame, you discover something powerful. You were never meant to fight against life. You were meant to dance with it. If you have followed so far, you know that rhythm is not something outside of you. It is within you. It shapes your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, your emotions. But here is the deeper truth. Rhythm is not only about surviving life's ups and downs. It is about mastering them. It is about learning how to turn the cycles of existence into fuel for your growth, your vision, your destiny. Because once you understand the rhythm, you can move with power instead of resistance, grace instead of struggle, and purpose instead of confusion. Most people live as if life is happening to them. They feel tossed around by circumstances, powerless before setbacks, overwhelmed by change. But those who awaken to the rhythm realize that life is happening through them. The very cycles that others fear become their training ground. They do not resent the lows. They use them. They do not cling to the highs. They prepare during them. They know that every phase has its gift and they claim it. This is not passive acceptance. It is active mastery. Think of the ocean. The tide rises, the tide falls. To the untrained, it seems unpredictable, uncontrollable. But the sailor knows how to read it, how to set the sail, how to use the rhythm of wind and water to move forward. The same ocean that drowns the careless becomes the highway of the wise. Life is the same. If you ignore its rhythm, you are tossed around. If you align with it, you move farther than you ever imagined. So how do you master rhythm? It begins with awareness. Awareness is the key that unlocks cycles. You must learn to step back from the rush of daily life and notice the patterns. What times of day give you the most energy? Which habits lead to growth and which to decline? What season of life are you in? Expansion, consolidation, recovery, preparation? Too often people ignore the signs. They push when their spirit cries for rest. They cling when life whispers, let go. They chase endlessly without pausing to realign. And so they burn out. But when you cultivate awareness, you learn to read your own tides. You begin to sense when to press forward and when to step back. You stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. Awareness leads to timing, and timing is everything. A seed planted too early will wither. Planted too late, it will never root. But planted in season, it flourishes. The same is true of your actions, your choices, your dreams. Success is not just about effort. It is about effort applied in rhythm. This is why some people work endlessly and see little progress, while others seem to move with ease. The difference is timing, and timing comes from rhythm. Yet here is where many people struggle. They confuse rhythm with waiting passively. They think that honoring cycles means sitting still, hoping life will deliver miracles. But that is not rhythm, that is stagnation. Rhythm is active. It is about moving in harmony, not in hesitation. A dancer does not stand frozen, waiting for the music to carry them. They move with the beat, expressing it, embodying it. Rhythm requires your participation. Life gives the music. You provide the movement. So when you are in a season of growth, you must push with courage. When you are in a season of harvest, you must celebrate and share. When you are in a season of planting, you must work patiently, laying foundations others cannot see. And when you are in a season of rest, you must allow yourself to recover without shame. This balance is what keeps motivation alive, because burnout comes not from effort, but from effort without rhythm. Let's take this further. Rhythm is not only personal, it is universal. Entire societies move in cycles. Economies rise and fall. Cultures flourish and decline. Generations rebel, then renew. Technology surges forward, then stabilizes, then transforms again. To ignore these cycles is to be blindsided by change, but to understand them is to position yourself for opportunity. The wise do not cling to a season that is ending. They prepare for the one that is coming. They ride the wave of history instead of resisting it. Look at nature. The forest does not despair when fire comes. Fire is destructive, yes, but it also clears the ground for renewal. Seeds long buried in the soil only sprout after fire has cracked them open. The ecosystem is not ruined. It is reborn. The same is true of your life. Sometimes what feels like devastation is simply the fire preparing you for a new beginning. The rhythm includes destruction, but never without purpose. It includes loss, but never without renewal. If you trust this, you will stop fearing the fires in your life and start asking, what new growth will this make possible? This is the mindset of resilience. Resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the understanding that pain itself is part of the cycle. Resilient people are not those who never fall. They are those who know how to rise again. And they rise not because they are superhuman, but because they see rhythm where others see chaos. They trust the process, they honor the seasons, and they never confuse a setback with the end of the story. Here is something to remember. Your rhythm will not always match the rhythm of others. You may be in a season of planting while someone else is in a season of harvest. If you compare yourself, you will feel behind. But you are not behind. You are simply in a different phase. The oak tree and the rose bloom at different times, but both fulfill their purpose. Do not let comparison rob you of trust in your own rhythm. Your time will come, and when it does, you will flourish in ways only you can. This is why patience is power. Patience is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the ability to endure the planting season without despair, to honor the resting season without guilt, to trust the invisible growth beneath the surface. Impatient people dig up their seeds before they sprout. They abandon projects, relationships, or dreams too soon, not realizing that they were only weeks or months away from breakthrough. Patience means you do not quit when you are tired. You rest, realign, and continue. And this patience is only possible when you trust rhythm. But let's go even deeper. Rhythm is not just about cycles outside of you. It is about cycles within your mind and spirit. Motivation itself moves in waves. Inspiration rises and falls. Confidence expands and contracts. Too often, people give up when their motivation dips, thinking it has vanished forever. But in truth, it is only cycling. Just as the tide always returns, so does inspiration. If you learn to use the low moments for reflection and preparation, the high moments will come back stronger. You do not need to panic when motivation fades. You only need to trust that it will rise again. This is why discipline is the twin of rhythm. Discipline is what keeps you steady when the waves are low. It is the anchor that holds you until the tide rises again. People who rely only on bursts of inspiration will drift aimlessly. But those who combine rhythm with discipline create progress that cannot be stopped. They know when to push, when to rest, and when to simply hold steady. They are not tossed by every mood or setback. They are grounded in rhythm. So here is the invitation. Begin to live with rhythm consciously. Notice your cycles. Honor your seasons. Align your actions with timing. Trust the process even when it is invisible. And most importantly, never mistake a single beat for the whole song. You may be in silence now, but the music continues. You may feel low now, but the cycle is turning. You may feel lost now, but you are only in one part of the spiral. Every great story, every great journey, every great life is built on cycles. The hero falls, learns, rises, and transforms. The artist struggles, creates, fails, and creates again. The entrepreneur risks, loses, adapts, and succeeds. The parent nurtures, lets go, and sees renewal in the next generation. All of it is rhythm. And once you see this, you realize something powerful. There is nothing to fear. There is only the next beat. And so, let this truth settle in your heart. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not stuck, you are cycling. You are not finished, you are flowing. The rhythm is with you always. And if you choose to move with it, there is no limit to how far you can go. You now understand that rhythm is everywhere, within you, around you, above you. It is in your breath, in the stars, in your struggles, and in your victories. But here is the final and perhaps most empowering truth. Rhythm is not only something to be followed. It is something to be created. Yes, the cycles of nature and the cosmos move on their own, but within them you have the power to shape your own rhythm. And this is where life becomes not just bearable, but extraordinary. Most people live reactively. They wait for circumstances to dictate their rhythm. If work is busy, they rush. If times are slow, they stall. If life knocks them down, they stay down until something lifts them again. But those who master rhythm take ownership of it. They set their own tempo. They create routines, habits, and rituals that align them with power instead of passivity. They do not merely dance to whatever music life plays. They compose their own melody and move with intention. And that is what you are being called to do. You are not meant to live at the mercy of external forces. You are not meant to be tossed endlessly by waves. You are meant to plant your feet in the sand, raise your eyes to the horizon, and move with purpose. You are meant to create a rhythm that sustains you through every season. A rhythm of discipline and rest. A rhythm of effort and gratitude. A rhythm of learning and teaching. A rhythm of giving and receiving. When you build this inner rhythm, no outer chaos can break you. Think of the greatest performers. Their brilliance does not come from random bursts of energy. It comes from rhythm. They practice daily, they rest deliberately, they push at the right times, they pause at the right times. Their lives are not chaos. They are choreography. The same can be true for you. Your work, your relationships, your dreams can all become part of a larger dance if you choose to honor rhythm. But here is the challenge. Creating your rhythm requires courage. Because the world will always try to impose its own beat on you. It will tell you to work without rest, to consume without pause, to compare yourself endlessly to others. It will pressure you to rush, to prove, to chase. If you are not conscious, you will be swept into that frantic rhythm, one that leads not to fulfillment, but to exhaustion. To resist this takes strength. It takes the willingness to say no when others say yes, to pause when others push, to push when others settle. It takes the wisdom to listen to your own inner rhythm and trust it above the noise. And yet, when you do this, something amazing happens. Life begins to flow. You stop feeling like you are constantly behind. You stop burning out. You stop fearing change. Because you know that whatever season you are in, you have the rhythm to move through it. You become like a dancer who can adapt to any music, or a surfer who can ride any wave. Circumstances no longer control you. Rhythm carries you. This is the essence of empowerment. Empowerment is not about controlling everything. It is about aligning with rhythm so deeply that nothing can throw you off balance. Even when storms come, you sway but do not break. Even when losses come, you grieve but do not collapse. Even when victories come, you celebrate but do not lose yourself. You remain steady, grounded, in tune. And this steadiness is what allows you to go farther than you ever imagined. Now think about your own life. Where have you been ignoring rhythm? Have you been pushing endlessly without rest, wondering why burnout keeps coming? Have you been resting endlessly without effort, wondering why nothing changes? Have you been clinging to a past season instead of embracing the one you are in? Wherever you are, this is your moment to realign. This is your chance to remember the forgotten knowledge of rhythm and make it your own. Start small. Begin with your day. Create a rhythm that nourishes you. Wake with intention. Move your body. Breathe deeply. Work with focus. Rest without guilt. Connect with others. Reflect in silence. End your day with gratitude. This daily rhythm, practiced consistently, will build strength that compounds over time. From there, expand to your weeks, your months, your years. Ask yourself, what season am I in? What is this phase asking of me? And then align your actions accordingly. Plant when it is time to plant. Grow when it is time to grow. Harvest when it is time to harvest. Rest when it is time to rest. And remember, this is not about perfection. You will fall out of rhythm. You will push too hard or pause too long or resist the season you are in. That is okay. Rhythm is forgiving. Just as the tide always returns, so can you. Just as the breath always continues, so can you. You are never too far gone to find your rhythm again. All it takes is awareness, humility, and the choice to realign. This is why rhythm is hope. Because no matter how lost you feel, the cycle is not broken. No matter how many mistakes you have made, a new beat awaits. No matter how many seasons you have wasted, another season is coming. As long as you are alive, the rhythm continues. And that means renewal is always possible. Transformation is always possible. A fresh start is always possible. But let us go deeper still. Rhythm is not only about you, it is about connection. Because when you live in rhythm, you naturally connect with others. You begin to sense their seasons, their cycles, their rhythms. You become more compassionate. Because you no longer expect everyone to be at their peak all the time. You respect their winters, you celebrate their summers, you support them in their planting, you share in their harvest. Life becomes less of a competition and more of a collaboration. You realize we are all part of the same cosmic orchestra, each playing our part in the larger symphony. And what a symphony it is! Stars pulsing, oceans surging, hearts beating, voices rising, dreams unfolding, all in rhythm. To remember this is to awaken to awe. To forget it is to live in isolation. The truth is, you are not alone in your struggle, your growth, your renewal. You are moving in rhythm with the entire universe. And when you embrace this, you find strength not just in yourself, but in the very fabric of existence. So let this be your final reminder. You are part of the dance. You are not an accident, not an outsider, not a mistake. You are a note in the great music of creation, a step in the eternal dance of life. Your rhythm matters. Your contribution matters. Your story matters. Even when you feel small, you are moving in harmony with something vast and timeless. And here is the ultimate motivation. When you align with rhythm, your life becomes not just survival, but art. Every action becomes a step in the dance. Every breath becomes part of the song. Every challenge becomes a beat in the symphony. And you, once lost in chaos, become a co-creator of beauty. So rise, breathe, move. Trust, create, align. This is your rhythm, your life, your dance. The forgotten knowledge is no longer forgotten. It is alive in you right now. And with it, there is nothing you cannot face, nothing you cannot overcome, nothing you cannot become. Because in the end, life is not about rushing to the finish line. It is about learning to dance to the music that has always been playing. And the music is still playing, always.